So, one of the analogies I like to use with Brexit is a man going to a doctor, and the doctor says, "You've got cancer, but it's okay, we've caught it early enough in time, we can do this, this, and this, we have all these different treatments, we're going to look after you." And the man gets up and says, "Nah, fake news," and walks off. Over and over again, Ramonas like myself kept pointing out the massive pitfalls of Brexit, and every single time they've been ignored. One of them is that we will have to sell off our NHS to America. I can recount at least 3 different conversations I've had in the last 2 months of people telling me that's not going to happen. Okay. Link down below will be a link to an article from The Independent. I'm not going to read the whole thing because I honestly, I can't read that much of what Donald Trump has said. The man is a fucking moron. And it genuinely gives me a headache trying to put together this barely competent man's speech. But while he was up on a podium with Theresa May, Donald Trump came out and said, "When you're dealing with trade, everything is on the table. So the NHS, or anything else, a lot more than that, is on the table." It does go on, but again, and for everyone who thinks that Donald Trump is any kind of reasonably averaged, intelligent person, listen to one of his speeches. Not the little short clips we get from BBC. Listen to the actual speech, because he's a fucking idiot. But Trump has now made it perfectly clear. In order for there to be a deal with the US, which because of WTO means we are going to have to deal with America first because America wants our NHS, we're going to have to sell it off. There are a huge number of politicians, and I'll try to find that article again. I'll link that down below as well, as the number of politicians in British politics who will stand to make a fortune when the NHS goes fully privatised. Now, this isn't something that's happened just because of Brexit. It's been happening for a long time, and people keep pointing this out, but of course it keeps getting ignored, so nothing happens of it. But we've seen in the last few decades, even under Tony Blair, who is a Tory, just constant NHS cuts and privatisations. There was a beautiful interview, and I tweeted this video out, Bam Gibson 30 by the way, of a Sky News interviewing a doctor. And the doctor said, healthcare is an investment. It's not a negative drain, it is an investment. You put the money in, you get it back. For every pound you put into the NHS, you are getting £2 to £3 back. So this isn't about being the most efficient, which I'm sure Esther McVey will bring up at some point, as she recently has, saying, well, austerity had to happen because we had to do X, Y, and Z. This is not one of those things. This is not one of those things that can either be painted up like that, because the amount of people screaming, no, this is wrong. But here we are. Thanks to Brexit, that slow boiling water has now been cranked up, and it's been made abundantly clear, any deal with America, that is our NHS gone. And of course we're going to have a deal with America. This country doesn't produce enough food by itself. And if we're going on to WTO terms, as I've said before in previous videos, we will have to deal with America, because America can stop us having any kind of trade deal with any other country, because that's how WTO works. And there are a number of politicians and lobbyists who want our NHS gone. So, now why do I think the red carpet was a mistake? As I've said before, and it was put out before. Donald Trump is not someone we should be getting into bed with. Point blank. We need trade deals. None of them have been set up yet. We need closer ties with foreign countries. None of that has been done. But aligning ourselves with America at the moment is a huge mistake because Donald Trump is in office. Now, the Mueller report recently came out, and he hasn't been impeached. I will do a video very, very soon as to why that is. And it's not because he's innocent. It's not because he hasn't done anything wrong. It's nothing even close to that. But we do have to address the fact that right now America is led by Donald Trump. Donald Trump has thrown every single person loyal to him under the bus. The closest ally that America has is Canada. And he has not just insulted them, he has betrayed them on every single turn. I mean, how? I honestly think if he gets it into his head, hell, if John Bolton turns around and says, they're helping out Iran, that Trump would start a war with America, that Trump would start a war with Canada. He's that dumb. And he's toxic to everyone who tries to support him. Jeff Sessions, absolutely loathsome, disgusting piece of shit human being, loves Donald Trump, props him up every chance he can get. He was a Trump supporter before Trump was on the campaign. Why did Donald Trump throw him under the bus? Because he recused himself in the Mueller investigation. That was it. Because he did the right thing once. It goes even further than that. Even if you don't want to go into that politics, you can look at what Mexico is doing right now. Because of the tariffs, Donald Trump and his infinite stupidity is imposing on Mexico, which is not doing anything to the Mexican people. It's hurting American people first and foremost. But because of that, Mexico is now going for trade deals with Canada and bypassing America. And the same thing with Canada. Canada has been for the last at least year and a half trying to set up trade deals that bypass America and go straight to Mexico or everywhere else. Once these trade deals are set up, there is no going back. They're doing this not because they have an issue with the politics of America right now, but they're doing this because Donald Trump cannot be trusted. And yet we have a government and numerous potential prime ministers who are on their knees begging for Donald Trump to show them just a little bit of affection, willing to sell out the entire country for Donald Trump. Possibly the most repulsive human being on the planet. A man who will destroy this country because why the fuck not? America is not an ally to anyone at the moment other than Russia. And yet we still have politicians who will give off every public service this country has to get into bed with them. But hey, I'm just a Ramona, right?